stop. As a new diver, you are probably overweighted. So before we go any further on our new diver journey, we have to do a weight check before and, more importantly, after the dive. Coming up next, we talk about the weight check. All right, welcome back to the Dive Lab. I'm Diver Dave. We've got coffee. And before we can go any further on the new diver journey to talk about mastery of the core skills, we have to talk about the weight check. It is a high probability you have come out of your certification course overweighted. And I know what you're saying, Dave, I got through the course, everything went well. I'm just going to stick with the amount of weight that I passed the course on. And I'm going to ask you, but what if you had too much weight? Every pound of lead matters during your dive. Why take all this extra lead with you if there's no reason to take it? And this applies to hiking up a mountain, going on your mountain bike, and of course, diving underwater. Dave, why would it matter if I'm diving with a ton of extra weight? And the first point would be buoyancy control. Every additional pound of lead we take with us affects our ability to dial in our buoyancy control. And buoyancy control is the number one core skill that we have to dial in. We want to progress to where we can use our lungs as the mechanism to where we fine-tune our position in the water column, not the low-pressure inflator. Every time we touch the low-pressure inflator to inflate and then release gas, we are wasting gas out of the back of our tank. That is not efficient. The next point I will talk about is trim. If you have pockets of extra weight all over your dive setup during your dive, you might have a really hard time struggling to maintain that horizontal position that will really allow you to become an efficient diver to move through the water column. And so really, diving with the right amount of weight can be a safety problem if you have too much weight, of course. But more importantly, it's about becoming a better or a more efficient diver as you start to progress on this dive journey. So why not take the opportunity before the new diver journey goes too far to ensure that we are diving with the correct amount of lead? 2 weight checks. Weight check 1 is done before the dive, and we're ensuring that we have enough lead to make sure that we can actually break the surface tension. But we do not want enough lead to make us rocket down to the bottom. Weight check number 2 is probably the most important weight check because you want to make sure you have enough weight on you that you can easily stay at that 15-foot mark to do your 3-minute safety stop. And the reason this is more important is because through the duration of our dive, we are breathing in compressed air. That air has mass, and that mass equals weight. Most of that weight, we are literally exhaling into the water. And if you are a new student diving with an 80 cubic foot aluminum tank, which is pretty standard for a new diver's setup, a tank that is 3,000 PSI versus a tank that ends at 500 PSI is probably between the 3 to 4.5 pound mark of air weight that you've lost into the water. And so if you are diving with just right at the edge of the amount of weight you need, then of course you will be too light when you're trying to do your safety stop at the end of the dive when all of that compressed gas has been blown into the water. To sum it up, 2 weight checks. Weight check number 1, we do pre-dive. Weight check number 2, we dial in at the end of the dive to make sure we have enough weight that we can comfortably stay at our safety stop for our 3 minutes. So all of this to set you up nicely to tackle the core skills that are coming up next. Buoyancy control, fin control, trim, and there's a 4th one, but we're not going to talk about the 4th one just yet. We talked about the weight check and why it's important for new divers to get that dialed in. So just dial it in. What are you waiting for? A peak performance course is a perfect opportunity for you to learn how to do a proper weight check as well as practice the core skills. I would also highly recommend visiting sidemounting.com. Steve Martin is an absolute great side mount UK instructor, and he has some awesome videos, including how to do a proper weight check, which I thought were really, really well done. Practice hard, dive safe. That we have enough late new divers. Why would you want to go anywhere if you're cracked? And there's a 4th one. Is there a 4th one? Is that 4? I don't think that's 4. That to me looks like 5. That might be 4.5, but this is not 4. Hello?